To the Caminota show, and in this episode, man, uh, I got to quit with the saying the same thing every time. But you know what? It's true. It's true. It's another good friend of mine, and going to be a fun show because I, I I just love the name of Catherine's business, Retreat Boss, and Catherine Kontos is joining us. And Catherine, it's so good to see you here.
It is great being here. I'm excited to talk to both of you. I know it's going to be fun and energizing and actually very informative for all of your guests. So, and maybe you guys going to teach this, this person right here something new and exciting and something eye-opening, and that's what I'm hoping for.
I am so glad you didn't say this old dog on you. I thought my mind was like,
don't go there. I'm older than I look. Let's just put it that way. People don't realize how old I am, but I am older than I look. So I think I'm doing something right. I don't know, good genes. I don't know what it is, but I am older than I look. Oftentimes people are surprised.
Well, I ain't going to ask that because mom taught me a long time ago not to ask those questions. But I am going to say that I'd be willing to bet it has something to do with your business, because anybody that is focused on retreating and like I gotta caveat that the right kind of retreating, not like retreating from problem sets and retreating from the bad guys and all that sort of stuff from my background, but to set up a retreat and be part of that it's almost, I would almost equate it to being almost like a travel agent where you get to help people go experience something. So tell us a little bit about Retreat Boss.
So Retreat Boss, the reason why I do this, I live this, I breathe this, is because it's all about transformation. And that's my purpose in life, is because I got transformed in a way where it was an awakening, where I literally was a cocoon. I went into a cocoon waiting to die, I guess. And then I came out and I transformed instead into this butterfly where, I literally spread my wings. And with every flap, I was hoping, and I'm still hoping, to make that slight change in everybody. So that's how Retreat Boss was, born almost 10 years ago now. And I haven't stopped. I'm trying to teach others on how to do. I have been teaching, but now it's more online. So my audience is more massive and international, on creating really impactful transformation, not just a retreat. A lot of people they like gathering people and create a retreat. They're not making money, or they're not utilizing the tools to create the most transformation in their clients, and that's a disservice to themselves and to their clients. So that's my purpose with my business, is to give those tools of transformation.
How did you shape that into a business? Because I could feel, Dad, you said travel agent. I was about to say wedding planner energy. I feel that energy from you, Catherine. But how did you transfer that into a business model?
So this is what happened about 10 years ago. I got very sick after opening up an addictions retreat center. I had stage 3 breast cancer, and I had to shut it down because, something like that is too big not to be there. And it was really fairly new. And while I was just, I had this inn that I had transformed into a retreat. It was a 30-person retreat, 11 bedrooms. It was quite large, overlooking a beautiful lake in the mountains. It was really breathtaking. But for me, it was a burden right now, because there was money just burning up every month, just sitting there with, a mortgage, business loans, and all of that. And out of desperation, I went on my laptop in between treatments, and I started the business that you see today. It wasn't called Retreat Boss. It was called Rise at Sunhill and Sunhill Retreats. So this got transformed over the years into what we call today Retreat Boss. And through there, I started my new business. And a couple of years later, I won an award. I literally built everything in my bed. On my laptop in between treatments. I hired staff. I built my own websites, one of those, copy paste or whatever, those type of websites, those easy ones. I started my promotions there, my marketing, everything was done in my bed in between treatments. And whenever I felt good enough, I used to go and meet whoever I needed to meet and all of that. And eventually, it ended up becoming also a reservation system. I ended up, certifying new new venue owners on how to certify their retreat space into for the hospitality board so they could get their star rating. I reserved for them. I found them clients, I coached them as well. I staged their place. So, really it became like I became experienced like a whole 360 degrees on the retreat space. So I was hosting, I was planning events, I was everything you could possibly think of. So when you say travel event, it's everything. You're a travel planner as soon as it's international. It's an event planner because it is an event. You're in hospitality because you're providing, accommodations, you're providing food, you're also providing entertainment, right? Activities. It's like a concierge service. So travel planner, event planner, concierge, hospitality, like really, it's a lot of hats and it's a lot of experience. So that brings it all together because it's not easy. People think it's easy, but it really is not. Because you do have to, and it's also customer care, right? Because you're dealing with people and people are dynamic. You don't know what's going to happen on a weekend, 5 days, 7 days. People have personalities. They're not just like dolls sitting there. They have personalities. So there's also, some human relations that you need to have as well if you're hosting, that is, So there's a lot of stuff that you have to think about during a retreat.
Dad, before...
Okay, go ahead.
You got a deep one. One, and I got the shallow one first because I knew you had a deep question. I could see it on your face. What was that? What was the naming process like for you? Still, Rise at Sunhill, I think you said was the first name. Getting to RetreatBoss, because RetreatBoss really just it rings what it is. It's an awesome name. So, what is a little bit of that renaming process? How did you go through that? How did you find those names?
Rise at Sunhill was really based on the location where I was, because I was on a hill, and you're rising to a sun hill, so that was initially the first name. And then RetreatBoss came along when I said it really encompasses everything, whether you're a retreat venue owner, whether you're planning a retreat, and usually you're in charge, right? So you should be at least. So yeah, that's how it came along. And I was just, brainstorming, and it takes me a while because I'll sit there and I'll brainstorm. And I had a few names and that one just kept on like, facing me, looking at me and saying, this is it. There's nothing that better describes everybody that could be involved in a retreat, because whether you're an event planner, travel planner, a coach, or a yogi, when you're planning and providing a retreat for people, you're a retreat boss.
I love it.
Yeah.
Camden hit the nail on the head. Yes. We might have done a show or two together so he can recognize when I got a deep one. Because
there's that look.
Yeah, it is because I want to get it out before I forget it. Because what I heard, and this is the thing that always intrigues me, is did you discover the business and then realize that was your purpose and passion, or was it, man, I need to do something, and then created the business? Kind of the chicken or the egg, which came first?
It's both, because initially I've always been in transformation. You don't open up an addiction center, if you're not into transformation. But then it was about, I need to rent this place. That's what it was about. It turned to like, forget about transformation. I need to survive with, and not lose my entire business. I'd already shut down the business part, but I needed to save the building. And out of desperation, I opened up like a different type of business. And of course, I tapped back into the transformation space. And also I tapped into a time, back then where people weren't really doing these big groups. When I was like, how am I going to like rent a space for 30 people? And all of a sudden it was like this thing, I came up with the slogan, celebrate and stay at the Great Chalet. This was the slogan of the property at the time. So it became this thing like, have you heard of this place? It's like, it fits so many people. We could do whatever we want to do and stay there and whatever. And it attracted people from across the world. And I'm not joking. I don't even know. I've forgotten how many countries I have served, from, I always say Dubai because I always find it interesting. Somebody from Dubai would come here, but like, yes, Dubai, Korea, Britain, Germany, like Brussels, like I really serviced people across the world. And it just became this thing out of nowhere. Really, it was just like a desperation thing that I did, but I do have business background. And I tapped into something that wasn't tapped into back then. Now it's become a bit more of a trend thing, and it's going to continue being a trend. Retreats are going to be like the thing of this year, next year, because people are really craving connection. And, we've really gone inwards with the pandemic. So it really is the trend. And it's not just me saying this, research shows it within the travel industry and the event industry as well.
Where did this all start? Sometimes we talk with the entrepreneurs and it's like, oh, they're talking about having the lemonade stand when they're 6 years old and all that kind of stuff. Where did this kind of energy come from? Were you, always like, are you somebody who loves to host, for instance? Was that always something you had in you? And then you kind of found a business around it? Or where did that come from?
Yeah, I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur. I could pretty much do anything I put my mind to. Because I don't know, I'm like a sponge. I get bored with the same thing all the time. Like I'm not type of person. I can't be doing a mundane task every day. And that's where the entrepreneurship comes in, because you do wear many hats and you are able to sort of like a chameleon adjust to the business quite easily. And because I'm creative, I need a creative aspect. Because I love hosting, because I love people, so whether it's customer service or serious transformation, I'm also, I coach people. So whether it's for their life or business or whatever it is, I have focused it in the retreat space, but I could pretty much, transform anybody in front of me because I have the tools to do that. And so I combined all of my creativity, my entrepreneurship, everything that I know into this box of like, I'm doing a lot of different things here. I cannot get bored being a travel agent, an event planner. I'm not a travel agent, but a travel planner, an event planner, a host. There's so many hats to be wearing in this. And it takes, special people to be able to do this, because I do have clients who are event planners and they simply stay in the planning stage of the retreat. Then I have like coaches and wellness people. They're like, I'd like to do it for myself, or I'll hire somebody to plan it for me. So I'm able to, relate with each and every person because I've worn every single hat that they're about to wear. So whatever they're going to do, I just direct myself and focus on their goals and, whatever their business is. And I guess that's how it came about, because I really like doing a lot of stuff. So, yeah.
I'm laughing because I'm like, here we go. You're that one. You're that person, that business that I like to do a lot of stuff. And it sounds to me like you put the sign up in the front yard and said, "Hey, I got a retreat center," and then people just started showing up. Is that? I mean, that's what I just heard you say.
That's actually what happened. And I'm not kidding when I tell you I've had businesses from owning restaurants to owning a fridge company to owning, and there's real estate. Like I've really done a lot of different things. And what I would do is I would build them or buy them, and then after a few years, sell them for a profit. So as you can see, I would go into different businesses. Didn't matter what it was, because a business is a business. If you know the strategy and the foundation of how it gets built and becomes profitable, you just do it, and you hire the right people that you need for that business as experts, whatever it may be, to help you create, this new business, whatever it is. So yeah, I really have worn many different hats, and it doesn't matter what it is.
All right, I got a joke. you live in Canada and you had a fridge company. So you were selling ice cream to Eskimos. Is that what you're telling me?
Pretty much.
It's the opposite of the building the ice chest, right? Or what's that story, that old entrepreneurship book? Who could build the ice box in the desert?
They didn't know, that past their door, we were just outside. They had no idea.
The fridge company is just digging into the snow.
Right,
The $250.
Oh man. But you know what? There is all joking aside, that skill set that you develop has enabled you to create RetreatBoss, which seems to align much better with who you are internally and serves you in that sense. How do you keep, because I have my best friend and Camden's Uncle Ben has this same issue, if you will, that you seem to have solved, which is, yeah, that was a lot of fun, but I'm going to sell that and go do this over here. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I'm going to sell that and go do this over here. Now, RetreatBoss is like, you found it. So I'm kind of curious in that, what is it, because you mentioned creativity, loving people, there was something else, and I wrote it down. Oh, hosting, being around people, being that giver. How do you keep that passion rolling so hot, I guess is what I'll call it, with what you're doing?
Well, there's a few reasons. It is a purpose-driven. I live a purpose-driven life since the past decade, since I got sick. Unfortunately, I had to get sick to realize that I was always lost before, in a sense where I was like, why am I here? Why am I here? I kept asking, I kept trying to find the reason of my being. And when that happened to me 10 years ago, it became very clear to me why I'm here. And because of that, I have shaped my entire life, including my business, into a purpose-driven type of business. And when people do business with me, whether they're my students or they hire me to plan an event or a retreat, whatever it may be, they see that passion come through because I know the impact they will create by me helping them. And in the end, that's the butterfly effect that I was talking about earlier on in the podcast, is I'll flap my wing a little bit, and then I'm going to help you with my wing, flap your wings. And, I have seen with my own eyes, and I've experienced something that I did that I didn't even realize I was doing. I was just being nice or kind or whatever, which everybody should be. And then years later, they'll come to me and they'll send me a message out of nowhere. And this has happened many times. And I'm grateful that I have been able to achieve this type of relationship with people. They'll be like, that day when you did this, or when you told me that, it stayed with me. It stuck with me. I got that message actually today again. And that's what I want the retreat space to be. I want it to be, for my clients, a space where they deliver some transformation that is so deep that their clients come back to them and say, I'll never forget this weekend, or I'll never forget this week. This changed me. That's what I want. I don't want it to be just like a space where, we had so much fun. Yeah, have fun. But what's the purpose? What's the point of your retreat if you're not truly transforming? And it doesn't have to be like coaching and fitness. It could also be in your corporate space, right? I'm trying to make retreats like mainstream. It's not only about yoga and meditation. It needs to be in any type of business. You have a sales team, bring your sales team and transform your sales team to become a machine in sales. Give them the tools, give them the inspiration, let them get excited about your business. Same thing with your employees. We've been on a down for the past 2 years. The morale of the employees is at an all-time low. What about you take that, corporate spirit and bring them to a retreat and energize them again, give them that life, give them that hope, and show them that you care, and you will see the results in your numbers, because the production is going to go up, loyalty will go up, camaraderie will go up, team building will be better than ever before. Everybody will have the same vision, the same purpose. Your why will become their why. This is all transformation. So Yeah. That's all I have.
Well,
As you can see, I'm very passionate about it.
well, what I love there, and it made me think of this right away, and Dad, you'll love this. It's the retreat is kind of like we use the term coaching rugby, hidden work, like sneaky fitness, where it's like you're doing things that are getting the outcome that the coach wants, but they don't even realize they're working on it. And it seems like you really have that approach to the retreats. And I love that because that does transfer to any industry, any group of people, because it's about having fun in a great environment and still working towards those goals. But when you do it in a fun way, you don't even realize you're working towards them. And that's when you get that really big transformation that you're talking about, because it's not just, like you said, the meditation, we're not showing up for a 4-day retreat and meditating for the first 2 days. And that's the transformation. It's connecting with the people around you and still working towards whatever it is that organization wants. You have the flexibility to do that. So I love that you're honed in on that. It just made me immediately think of all of the sneaky fitness that I do in my rugby coaching to make people get in shape and learn all their skills, and they never even realize what's happening. And that's the coolest thing about a retreat too, is this transformation that you're talking about. When you're done, you see the transformation. Right. During it, you don't necessarily pick up on it when these type of things, because it's the outcome. Ooh, push back on that. I see the face.
I've actually,
I'm not the retreat expert.
Yeah.
So
you know what? I've actually seen a physical change in people when they get that moment of transformation, like happening in their mind. Mm-hmm. I have literally seen the physical change. Like I could see it happening right in front of me. And that is the biggest gift that anybody could give me back, is when I actually witness that. And you guys as coaches and what you do, I'm sure you've witnessed that too. And you know that feeling. You almost feel like euphoric because you just impacted that person profoundly. They're not going to leave. And then, it's not like a motivational weekend where you go and you're all pumped and you're like, yeah, let's do it. I'm going to go out there. And then Monday comes and you're all pumped, and then you go to work, and then Tuesday, I don't know, you have a fight with your wife, and, and then you're like, just, it just dies out. This is the type of transformation that sticks. It doesn't matter what happens after you leave the retreat. So I have actually witnessed it. But yes, there's these small, and you've got it, Cam. You really got it. Everything that happens in the retreat is kind of sneaky, like you said, to create that transformation without them even realizing that even the food that they're eating, could be part of that whole transformation space. Okay. So really everything that you do during a retreat, it should be handpicked and really thought about, and always ask yourself, how will this impact my guest?
Yeah. How do you, sorry, this took me back to my Verby days with the custom events and stuff of how do you customize this experience for, I guess I would say, industries or people from different backgrounds that you might not understand as well? What's like your, what's your creative process like for helping them design those retreats when it's something you're not as familiar with? So
one of the questions people always stick to me is, what type of retreats do you train for? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the retreat, what it's about. In the end, it's about assessing your client or assessing your guest. So if I'm a retreat planner per se, and you hire me to plan a retreat for you, it's like planning anything for a client. You have to really assess and see what their goals are. What is your goal for this retreat? What do you want them to come out of with? What is it? And then, through this very lengthy assessment, it takes a good 15 minutes of answering questions, again and again and again. And then we'll ask even more questions, right? So with all these questions and answers, you figure out, okay, so this is your goal. This is your budget. This is the people. This is your niche. This is, we figure all of that out. And then we start creating and making our decisions and all of that. So it really is about clearly defining the goals and the needs of your client or your guest, if you're hosting, and trying to solve that problem through transformation and through service. And, it's really a serving kind of business. So all of that together creates the impact of whatever business it is. It doesn't matter what it is. So really you could, sorry, Otis, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish that.
I'm done. I forgot. forgot. Go ahead.
All right. I'm glad to see it ain't just me. All right. Well, and I almost forgot what I was going to ask now. But it's how did your business is so much about picking people up, bringing them together and putting them in a spot together. How did you overcome the Rona, the shutdown of everything? Because I know in Canada, y'all have had a lot more lockdowns than we have here in the US. And
right.
So how have you as a business owner overcome that?
Yeah, so it was difficult. I had to shut down like most places that I'm in the retreat space. I'm all about gatherings and travel and people, right? So I was like, oh God, what am I going to do here now? And fortunately, the venue that I had just sold it. So that really helped. That really, really helped. And that's what I had wanted too. That was the goal. Like I told you, I'm always I would always buy some things, build them up, and then sell them. So that really helped. That was the one thing. And I knew I wanted to be online. And this gave me the perfect opportunity to convert my business and pivot it and place it online where I was doing it more one-on-one. So this is where Retreat Boss was born. And everything is now online and hybrid. Like I speak to people as well. I coach them live as well, but it's online. And that's how I did it. I just pivoted to make it work for this time. And believe it or not, people think retreats didn't exist during COVID. They actually did. And whoever did do retreats during COVID profited tremendously because nobody else was doing it. So, and people were still yearning, to connect and to retreat and all of that. Mexico was open, never closed. If you go to Mexico, and I did during COVID, I've never seen a more busy, it was full of people, full of people. And there's other areas where they never, Costa Rica closed for a little bit, then it opened up, Costa Rica is another place people were heading to. In the US, there was local retreats, so people who weren't put precautions and safety, in their retreat and made everybody feel safe and they were smart about it, they were able to do this. And, there was always a bit of risk, right? But that risk was reduced by knowing what safety precautions to take.
I'm curious because this just popped in my head. You're right. I mean, Miss Suzanne and I we went to Mexico during the Rona, and we also did, which was it was really kind of in that still in the forbidden sort of zone. We did a conference, a Dave Ramsey conference in Nashville, kind of in the heart of the crisis. And what it made me think of is help us understand what's the difference between like a Dave Ramsey and maybe not something even that big, but kind of that sort of a conference, a shindig, and a retreat. What's the difference between those?
So a conference and a retreat. That's what you want to know. What's the difference? A conference, look, it depends. The goal is a bit different, when I think of conference, I think of more of it's more formal, where a retreat, you're more laid back. A conference is a gathering of people, and there's a goal in mind as well. So it's very similar. It's just, I think the difference in what you're getting, you're more, a retreat will also put in some activities in there that are different than a conference. A conference oftentimes is just one speaker after another, maybe some activities, but mostly it's a lot of, and it's very long and it can be very tiring and draining mentally, where retreat is actually doing the opposite, but can have, it's more about, sorry to say this, but I feel like it's more of a quality, more quality based in a retreat versus quantity. And a conference, I find there's just a lot happening, and most people just tune out after a while. I don't think it's conducive to actually gaining more. I think you'll get something out of it for sure, but at a retreat, you're really what you're getting as far as information and whatever the goal is of the retreat will stay with you, and it's a lot easier for you mentally to absorb than a conference. So these are the differences. I just find like a conference is more formal, more, and a retreat is more laid back, more quality versus quantity. And you're also gathered together in the same space, meaning you're sleeping in the same space. You're not spread out. So there's a lot more bonding happening because I don't know if you've realized, and I'm sure it's happened to you, it's after the meetings that the bonding happens even more. And even probably even some transformation, because after the formalities are all gone, and and you start meeting with people and talking to them in a deeper level, that's where the real connection happens. I don't think you could get at a deep level like that at a conference. I'm pretty sure you will agree with that. A conference is not a deep level kind of meeting, but a retreat is. So.
Yeah, I think it makes me think of all the conferences I've been to. It's just like, it's a lot of information, and it's good information. And it's, you fill up your notebook, but you leave, and you're totally right, Catherine. You leave and you are just drained, and you're exhausted. Now you'll go back through those notes, and it's valuable, and it's a lot of good stuff.
Yes.
But the energy, you really hit that one on the head.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It drains you a lot. And so, each has its purpose. Each has its purpose. I just, I tend to appreciate the retreat style of learning versus the conference, because I'm a high energy. And when I'm involved in something, I'm completely in. And a conference really drains me because it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And it just made me think of, a couple of the Tony Robbins things that I've been to, conference, whatever, I can't remember exactly. I don't think he labels them quite like, into a category, but I specifically remember about halfway through, and each of them were about a 4 or 5 day thing. About halfway through, they started to almost do like a public service announcement sort of thing to warn people that they were going to get sick when they got home. Because they were going to be so physically and mentally exhausted that when they got home, within 24 hours of getting home and kind of taking off the t-shirt, if you will, your body just goes blah. And from what you're saying, what I'm hearing is that one of the biggest differences in an event like that, which serves its purpose, and a retreat, is that the retreat, you come back with this almost like an extra level of not just here's the things I've learned and need to do, but you actually have that energy and push, kind of the why is regenerated to go do it, and you're not exhausted.
Yeah, actually, a lot of times the mistake that new retreat leaders do, and actually even experienced ones who haven't ever taken any training, they overfill the retreat with activities and stuff, and people are exhausted, and then they've tapped out, and that's not what you want. It's actually the opposite of what you're speaking about with Tony Robbins and all these conferences that happen. You actually want to do the opposite. I'll look at a retreat agenda, I'll be like, too much. They need to process. You just taught them something super deep and valuable, and sometimes it's really hard emotionally, what you're going through. And I don't know, you had a revelation or whatever. You need to actually relax the body and let it process what it just experienced, which is not the same thing as a conference. A conference is like, let's load them up with as much information. They paid like, I don't know, $2,000 for this weekend. We're going to give them 20 speakers and like a bunch of like nonstop. I can't. I just can't. I tune out after a while. I'm like, I go cross-eyed. I'm really, I could stay there for a while, but I purposely will not show up at a few things because I just know myself. There's no point. I'll just be there like a zombie.
But it goes back to what you said. It's because the person, the group organizing it feels like they got to add value, and they feel like they add value by adding quantity. And
right.
I love the way that you reframe that, because goodness gracious, I mean, I can tell you, having done several of those things, Tony Robbins ones are much more extreme than Dave Ramsey, as you would imagine. But I'd be like, I had so much thrown at me, and then it started at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning and went to 11 o'clock at night, and I was like, wow. I got a notebook full.
But, I think there's a tactic behind it. There's a reason for it. I'm not 100% sure, but I do know, some of the things that they do that, when you're, first of all, swearing, I don't know if you know this, when you swear during a speech or whatever, people actually penetrate, process it better for whatever reason. Okay. Because it shakes them up a little bit, so they're listening now. So that's one of the things you do. And Tony Robbins swears during his talks, right? The other thing is if you get your adrenaline going, that's why you see him like pumping everybody up, dancing, the walking of sorry. So when he does that, right, the adrenaline, obviously, you create oxygen, there's all this adrenaline pumping and you become more focused. That's why he does that when he appears, right? And then one of the things that he also does, which is the walking on fire at the end, okay, it actually creates this psychological thing where it makes you feel like it was the most exhilarating experience because your body doesn't know, your brain doesn't know the difference between the adrenaline caused by that stress of walking on fire, that whatever, to excitement. Doesn't know. It just knows it's your body's getting excited. And you leave there going, this was phenomenal. It changed my life. And it has changed a lot of people's lives. I don't want to take away from that. Tony Robbins is fantastic. He's incredible. I love him, but these are done purposely. So he basically takes what I've told you about retreats, enhances the experience through these things that he knows works. And he wants them to leave thinking like they're exhilarated, that this has been the best thing. And it is for them, and these are put there purposely. So he's done that. He's enhancing the experience with things that he knows will make them feel that way.
One of the things that we talked about earlier, Catherine, was, you wearing so many different hats and having all these different roles and how it all kind of fits so perfectly into Retreat Boss. But I'm curious, and you don't have to answer if you have a favorite role, but do you struggle sometimes getting stuck in one role for too long? Or I don't know, I think of, you're talking about, the coaching. It's like, I really just want to coach. Would you ever, you're just doing so many retreats and doing all this planning and coordinating travel and all this kind of stuff. And you're just like, gosh, I just really want to coach. I just want 1 week where I can actually go coach this time rather than that. Yeah. Do you ever get in that kind of space? And how do you balance that to prevent it possibly?
So if you're asking me which part I don't love in my business is the social media aspect, believe it or not, even though I'm, fairly good at it. I'm not a fan. I'm really not a fan. I hate being in front of the camera all the time, it's not my thing to just be always like performing, if you want to call it, for social media and posting. And because I find being in front of a computer or an electronic device takes away from, it just takes away from the person, period, and I don't want to be stuck in that. So that's why I've hired people to help me with that part, because I don't want it taking over my life. So when my advice for other entrepreneurs obviously is, if there's stuff that you don't like doing, that burdens you, that takes away from your time, your energy, your mind space and all that, hire the people to do that for you so you can be more creative, so you can make more money, all of that needs to be done. And so, yeah, the social media space, obviously I have to be involved to a certain extent, but I have hired people to help me out with that because I don't want to be 24/7 on my phone or on my computer.
So it's an amazing thing if you build a business where the only part you don't want to be working on is social media. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say there's the business experience from your other businesses that you ran that comes through, because so many people, hit this point and they burn themselves out, right? Because they're trying to do it all.
Social media is great because of the marketing aspect of it. It's free, unless you're paying for advertising, where 20 years ago, there was no such thing really, and, but it does take up a lot of your time.
Yeah. Just ask him how much time it takes up. Yeah. He knows a thing or two about that. Yeah. I want to know, where's where is this retreat thing going? You mentioned, there's a need for, immediate need for people excited. It's really going to, in the immediate, I'm looking for what's the next thing, in 5 years or even 10 years. What's the next thing in the retreat space that you see?
People are looking, okay, when people travel now, I'm gonna talk about more the travel part of it. Okay. When people have been traveling up until COVID, it was more about a space. I want to find a luxury space, or I want to go to this space. Okay. It has everything, the amenities I need. I want to go relax my mind and whatever. And actually, I do have a psychology background. That's why I kind of always go back to that. When you're going through some type of nervous breakdown, depression, anxiety, whatever, you think that you will go on vacation and actually feel better. And research shows you actually feel worse while you're on vacation. That's why you'll see people binging on drinking, binging on eating, not sleeping, because they're avoiding all that mind stuff, all that screaming and that noise in their head. And they actually come back really exhausted, more than when they left, right? They're like, I need a vacation from my vacation. So because they're trying to avoid all those feelings that they're feeling now, because when your body rests, that's when it decides, okay, well, there's no more adrenaline. I don't have to take care of all that busy stuff. Now you're relaxing. I'm going to make you sick. Okay. Usually people get sick on the weekends over weekdays because your body finally rests. Your mind is finally trying to rest. And all of a sudden it starts screaming at you and you're like, ah! Okay. So just wanted to point that out. But what's happening now, because of what happened with COVID and the pandemic and everything, people are looking to experience. So now they're looking, and you'll see Airbnb, they started switching up right around COVID.
Oh, those new ads.
Introducing experiences, right? They want to promote experiences. You see it everywhere. It's more like about the experience. Okay. So whether they're going to travel, in a retreat style space or alone, they're looking to pay top dollar to have a one in a lifetime experience or a bucket list experience versus going to a luxury spa vacation. And this is where it's going. People want to, and I'm happy to hear that, because it is about, I've always said, even when I was doing this with MySpace, I was selling it as an experience versus selling it as a property. And that's where the trend is going. So we'll see a lot more stuff that you probably never even knew existed, as offerings as we go, because, people get kind of bored of done that, or I've seen that. Let's up level it. Let's change the experience to make it even more impactful. So whether it's retreats or solo, and a lot of people are going to start doing solo traveling, but going into retreat spaces, but by themselves, not necessarily with a friend or a husband, wife, or whatever. They'll want to go do it on their own, but create a community around it. Yeah.
I think the experience thing is so interesting. I heard this recently somebody was talking about going to Paris, and somebody else in the group had been. They're like, we live in New York. It's just a big city. Like, it's like, it wasn't the big experience that people were thinking, because it's just the big city. And I think it's kind of what you're getting at, Catherine, where it's, it's not just the going to the luxury place, because the luxury place is the same no matter where you go. It's the experience, that extra step of the environment, what you're experiencing, the bucket list type stuff.
Right. And you immerse yourself in the culture. So if I were to go to Paris, I would completely immerse myself in their culture and try to experience what it's like to be, living in Paris versus just visiting. I really get involved with the culture wherever I go. I like being with the local people and learning what they're doing and visiting their home, and experiencing it differently versus just going and signing up for every tourist trap that there is.
Right. I think that's the takeaway I got from that conversation, was just that it's like, if you just go do the big city thing, doesn't matter which big city you go to. It's basically going to be, luxury food, fine dining. Well, yeah, they got that over here. They got, they've all kind of grown together in that sense culturally.
And often, we say, a beach is a beach. in the end. You're going to go to the beach, whether you go, to, some are more beautiful than others, granted, yes, but a beach in the end is a beach, so it's not really about the beach, it's about the experience. Again, I'll always go back there, get into, when you go traveling, get into the culture, get to know the people, do some research beforehand, look at stuff that you'd want to do that you can't do anywhere else. Like, I don't want to go to, I don't know, California or Mexico and do the same thing. I want to go to California and do something that's really unique to California, versus if I go to Mexico, I want to do something unique to wherever that city is in Mexico. I swam. I went to Cabo, San Lucas, and I swam with, there's only these whales that are like 40 feet long are only in Cabo and some, I think, in Thailand. And I was swimming. Even the people that, were doing the excursion, they freaked out at how long I was next to this whale. I was literally swimming a foot away from it for half an hour. It was huge. And I was scared to be close to the tail, because all he needed to do was one of these, I'd go fly. But, this was an experience that I had chosen, said, I need to experience this because it's very unique to this place. So these are the things that people should look for. Do your due diligence in your research and figure out why you want to go there and what do you want to experience when you go there, so you could have this memory and talk about it and share it and live it.
I love that, and yeah, it's it's something that's dear to my heart. I've always called it that sense of adventure, but that sense of adventure. You want to go on an adventure to get that experience from the adventure. And that's such an important thing. We're doing things like that, even in the McGregor household, and changing up how we do stuff. So yeah, love that.
I want to add on to make it a little bit poetic of what you're saying, Dad, it's about understanding your outcome, just like anything else in business or in life. It's what do you want to get out of this? Like, you going halfway across the world so you could sit in a chair and drink Mai Tais? Well, you could, believe it or not, you could do that on the back porch, or are you going there for this experience to really, like you're saying, Catherine, just like dive deep into the culture of that specific area and recognizing that outcome that you want, and then plan the trip around the outcome.
Yeah, exactly. Look, let's say, example, you have a retreat, a culinary retreat. Okay, let's think of culinary retreat. You're a chef. Okay, so what do you want to experience? Oh, maybe we could go to Tuscany, a farm to table kind of experience where people actually choose them how to pick their vegetables, their spices, whatever, or go to the local market, and, teach them in Tuscany, in a winery or whatever it is, and pair it up with the wine. Like, this is what I mean by, like, tap into every tool you have, and whether it's the destination or your activities, and enhance the experience. That's better than just going, I don't know, somewhere, in a local, whatever, you know what I mean, right? Like, just enhance every single piece of it, and take the culture and include it into your plans.
Oh yeah, and I can vouch for the Tuscany one, because Miss Suzanne did one of those for a culinary thing, and she loved it. Still talks about it. So and that was 15 years ago. So yeah.
When you're 80 years old and you keep repeating the same story, right? Like, there's this thing that, when we're elderly, we repeat. I want to repeat the many different stories so it doesn't get too boring, right? Because of the experiences I've had, because they'll be impactful. So I want to have many stories I want to repeat, not just, 2 or 3.
That's awesome. Yeah, and this has been amazing. And I appreciate the information that you've shared, and how you've helped people, I think, understand, the differences and how to do it better. And then shifting to that into what did I learn? I thought the don't overfill the event or retreat, because it just burns people out, and give them time to absorb, give them time to reflect on it. I think that is so important, back to that foundation of quality versus quantity. It's not that you have 15 speakers in a day. It's the quality of those people and the message that they're sharing with the folks that are there. So that's great. Camden, what did you learn?
It was really when we were talking about retreats and events during COVID, what you were saying, Catherine, there's always a solution. And if you take the precautions and you are creative enough, there's a good solution. Like, not just say like physically we can't meet somewhere, but like there's a good solution that's not going to put people in danger or anything like that. And specifically with something like retreats and in a global pandemic, if you can find that solution, like there's a solution for just about everything out there. So for all the entrepreneurs out there, keep finding that solution.
Yeah.
Catherine, what'd you learn?
You know what? It's the first time I'm being interviewed by two people, and I love the dynamic and the energy that you guys bring into this. Like I wasn't sure how it would work, like if it would be a little confusing or, but you guys got it down packed. I love the dynamic of all this, and I love the energy that it creates having 3 people versus 2. So thank you for that, because I'm also a podcast host too. So if I interview 2 people now, I won't be so nervous because I know it'll just add more value to it. So that's what I learned. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, that's great. No, that's only a B+. We look for. Oh, that's great. No, I appreciate that.
Oh, don't start grading what we learned. This podcast will go downhill so fast.
No, that'd be a bad trend.
Just stop at the show camp and think of something better.
Cut.
Go back to my old Army days, and that's a no-go. Go to the back of the line and start over. So, Catherine, how can folks follow you, get in touch with you, learn more?
Yeah, sure. RetreatBoss.com is the website. And, I'm available to be reached out on LinkedIn as well. If you want to look up Catherine Kontos or Retreat Boss, you can follow both the company and myself there. And I'm pretty much everywhere on social media. So, so anybody who wants, I'm always there for a free discovery call if they want to just chat and see what their plans are, and really no obligation. I'm easygoing. I want everybody just to be happy and to do what they want to do that impacts their business the best.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. And thanks for your time today. I've really enjoyed it. Camden, run us out.
All right. Thank you all for listening to today's show. Special thanks to our guest, Catherine Kontos, for joining us today, and our sponsor, Tribe and Purpose. Find your tribe, find your purpose. You can check out recent episodes of The Cam and Otis Show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, and check out a full archive at thecamandotisshow.buzzsprout.com. The Cam and Otis Show is on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks again. We'll see y'all next week.